and I'm going to use a technique called the burrito method. It's a fun little beginner sewing project, and I wanted to show you the fabric that I picked out. It's a camping themed fabric, and I thought it'd be great for a road trip, an RV trip, a camping trip, so you don't have to take your nice pillowcases from home. And it features a coordinating cuff and a coordinating flange. So let's get started. You're going to need 3 coordinating fabrics for this project. Your main fabric, you're going to cut at 27 inches by 40 inches. Your flange, you're going to cut at 2 inches by 40 inches. And your cuff, you're going to cut at 9 inches by 40 inches. And I've already pre-cut my fabrics today. And then I'm going to go back and forth between my standard presser foot and my 1/4 inch presser foot. The first step for the project is to take your flange and fold it in half and give it a press. I did that off the camera. And then I'm going to line it up with my cuff fabric. You want your cuff fabric right side up. And I'm going to pin the flange raw edge to raw edge. All along. And I like to pin one end and then the other and then pin it in the middle. It's a little bit longer than my cuff fabric, but that's okay. There is a lot of pinning in this project. Now I'm going to take it to the machine and I'm going to sew 1/8 of an inch all along this top edge. I like to use a leader fabric, so I have that ready. And again, just 1/8 of an inch. Now I'll clip off my leader fabric, and I have my 1/8 of an inch seam, and this is a great project for a beginner because you get a lot of practice just sewing a long straight seam. The next step is to attach the main fabric to the cuff and the flange, and you want to take your main fabric and place it face down. And again, pin it all the way across. Since I'm using a directional fabric, I want to make sure and have my top of the fabric to my right. For the pinning, I put 1 pin on each end, 1 in the middle, and then 1 in the middle of that. The next thing I'm going to do is roll up from the bottom of the main fabric toward the top, and you'll see your cuff underneath. And you want to leave a gap. You don't want to go totally to the top, because the next step that you're going to do is take your cuff fabric, roll it over your main fabric, line it up, and pin that in place. That's why you don't want too many pins along the top, so you have some room to pin your cuff fabric. I have my pillowcase rolled into a burrito. I'm going to take it to the machine and sew with my regular presser foot this time through all the layers from one end to the other. Again, I'll trim off my leader fabric. The next step is to pull the main fabric out of the cuff. I'll take it to the iron and give the seam a press. You can see the end of my cuff got a little wonky while I was sewing it, which is okay. I'm just going to trim this so it's even. Just snip that right off. Very forgiving project. That looks good. My cuff is pressed. Now I'll fold wrong sides together, right sides out. I'll pin along these two sides. This is your folded edge and this is your opening for your pillow. This time I'm going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam. I'll use my 1/4 inch presser foot. And the only seam that you need to match up carefully is your cuff seams. Match, pin, and then I'll continue pinning around these two sides. I'll clip off my leader fabric and turn the pillowcase wrong side out. This time I'm going to run a seam with my regular presser foot along the same two edges that I just stitched. First of all, I'm going to give this a press so it's nice and flat, and I'll run my seam right here along both of my edges. I'll clip off my leader fabric again. I'm going to clip the corners just a little bit to try to reduce the bulk. Remember, don't cut into your stitches that you just stitched. Now I'll turn the pillowcase right side out. You have your pillowcase with your flange and your cuff. You have a nice neat seam inside. I'll trim off those threads, but you don't have any raw seam in there. That's called a French seam when you just enclose your raw seam allowance with a double seam. Here's the completed camping pillowcase, all ready for my next trip. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.